This is not a test. Don't expect to be impressed. Put on your life vest. Sit down your armrest. It's time to stray from the grind. Don't take my hand, 'cause you'll find no peace of mind. Side quest.
Hey everyone, my name is Rick Gualtieri, and I play such wonderful characters as Silas Kane, Moog Faceeater, and the Dungeon Master for Salty Bastards. In real life, I write several things, including the Toma Bill series, and who are we kidding? There's not too many Rick Gualtieris writing stuff, so if you find it, it's either me or some other weirdo who, for some reason, decides they need to use this name.
Hey y'all, I'm Misty Massey. I'm the author of the Mad Kestrel series of pirate fantasy adventures. I'm an editor for Falstaff Books, Lore Seekers Press, Mocha Memoirs Press, and who knows who else I'll be editing for next. They just come out of the woodwork sometimes. You knew me once on this show as Malibu, the sweet and innocent cleric who just wanted everyone to get along except Silas Kane, who needed to be smacked in the head. But these days, you know me as Anwar Crow, the suave, sophisticated thief who just wants to get in your pockets or your pants or both.
Hi, everybody. My name is Bethany Snelson. I'm also known as Queen Crush on the Discord. And today I will be playing. Oh, wait, I'm not in this podcast. I do actually play a dinosaur as playing as a human, though. So I think that kind of qualifies me, right?
Sure, why not?
Hello, friends. I'm Robert Bev. No, wait, that's not right. Oh, I know. Hi, I'm Steve Weatherall. No, that's not right either.
Oh, fuck you,
Oh,
Mark.
I got it. Oh, that's right. Thanks, Rick. Yes, it's me, your lovable super fan. Fuck you, Mark.
All right, well, welcome everybody. Now you might be wondering why the cast is slightly different this time around. This is a very special side quest, and for those of you who are just joining in for the first time, which I don't know why you would choose this one to start for the first time, but if you are, side quests are the every other week non-games we do. You'll notice one thing that we all have in common, and no, it's not being bald, is everybody here on the podcast has previously been at an Authors and Dragons con. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, go to authorsanddragons.com. It's August 11th to 13th in Portland, Oregon. Tickets are still available. There will be day tickets at the door. But sadly, all of us here are gathered today because we have previously gone to A&D cons. We've loved them. But unfortunately, we're not able to make this one. So this is kind of, I guess, an A&D con expats, if you will. So the idea here is, Misty and I couldn't make it, and FU Mark, who's a longtime listener, reached out and was like, "Hey, wouldn't it be cool if we did something where where some of us could join who can't make it to the con and speak?" And I was like, "Hey, that's not a bad idea." And I knew Queen Crush couldn't make it because we've been DMing back and forth on Discord. And it was like, okay, well, why don't we kind of get together and kind of talk about our memories of A&D Con and why it just sucks so bad that, well, we're gonna be missing it this year.
The fun we can't have.
Oh, come on, Rick. You know you were looking forward to driving across Kansas again.
My wife actually put her foot down on that one, and she was like, "No, you are not doing that again. That was really stupid the first time." Because going to A&D Con, I did kind of 8-hour drive days, which was tough but not too bad. But coming back, I decided to I wanted to save a day, so I upped that to 12 hours, and that was fucking brutal, especially going through Kansas.
Yeah, I live in the Midwest, and that is not a good idea. A lot of our scenery is the same, and unless you're from here, you're gonna fall asleep immediately.
Oh,
I'd have never managed. After about 4 hours in the car, I turn into a really unpleasant human, and you just don't want me in the car that long. So
Try driving from Iowa to North Carolina
nope.
with a 1-year-old and an 8-year-old and a grumpy wife.
That's what they make
And
planes for.
I'll apologize for any like sound issues for this one. We're kind of winging it with. I don't expect everybody here to be a podcast professional. We've been doing this for 7 years, and I don't really consider us podcast professionals. But yeah, it's like for most of the trip, it wasn't bad because like there were so many stretches where there was no other cars on the road. It was just me, so I was able to kind of take it slow. Occasionally, like turn on my dashboard cam and like record a video, things like that. But yeah, there were some spots where like Kansas and I guess Missouri coming back, driving east and having New Jersey license plates, they all assume that you're just transporting drugs from Colorado. Every single one. And I got stopped twice and I told the cops each time that the only drugs I was carrying was the drugs of good reading, which I'm surprised did not get me tasered, and thrown in a jail cell. But it did get my
Oh,
car searched. Yeah, it did get my car searched twice.
I was
Are
gonna
you
But
say,
serious?
they
I
don't like
didn't.
senses of humor. They won't.
Not in
but
Kansas.
ultimately, books are still not illegal, so there really wasn't anything for them to get me on. Each time
Wow.
they gave me a bullshit answer about why like they stopped me. One time it was like, oh, you brake checked the truck in front of you. I was like, no, I was slowing down because there was cars that I didn't want to hit. And the other cop started going, and the other one doing that thing where he's going real slow next to me. And I was just like, I didn't want to pass him because I knew he was trying it. And then the second I passed, he was like, "Well, you passed me going." I was like, "Dude, I passed you going 15 miles under the speed limit." I didn't say that.
Yeah, yeah.
But yes, that was for the
Wow.
first A&D Con, A&D Vegas.
Vegas was a blast, and I wasn't yet part of the Discord, so I didn't actually know where in the casino we were going to be. But I found another fan, and we managed to get there. And I'm standing in line, and I get up, and Teresa was manning the door, and I said, "Hi, I'm fuck you, Mark." And the person, two people in front of me, is like, "Fuck you, Mark's here."
That's
And
adorable.
well, it's fun because I had met Steve about 2 months before in Wisconsin. I had gone up for my niece's graduation, and he was visiting Emily and one of her friends about something. And so he was going to a pub, and we all met up.
Oh, okay.
And then I'd been talking to John on Facebook forever. And so I walk in the dealer room and go over and give Steve a hug, give John a hug. And then I go over to Rick's table because Rick had said several months prior, sometime this guy's going to show up at a con and I'm going to have to call for security.
Well, yeah, I figured you were going to be some like 6'9" biker and like walk in and be like, "Motherfucker,
Yeah.
we gonna have some words."
I walk right up to Rick and I said, "Rick, it's time to call for security." And Rick stood up, and Rick has an inch or two on me, and he says, everybody, can I have your attention? We have a very special guest with us. I think you all know what you have to say. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, and 100 people yelled, "Fuck you, Mark."
Nice.
How
And like
nice.
that was one of my favorite things because like literally that was kind of the first thing I did. We were still setting up our tables. You walk over and I was just like, man, this cannot go without some kind of like some kind of announcement.
The
Acknowledgement.
moment must be marked in history.
But the truth of the matter is, it was so awesome that you would rock because it's like the idea of like somebody who's like listening and being like active on like on the Facebook page, but then actually showing up. The idea was really mind blowing to us. Um, it like really was. It was like, wow, some of these people who like live far away actually came to see us, and like that was the moment it actually kind of sunk in that it probably wasn't going to be a disaster.
Yeah. And, you guys had people from everywhere at that first con because
Yeah.
Steve brought his sister, which she was probably funnier than Steve was, except when Steve was drunk.
Steve.
Yeah, I liked her. She was cool.
Yeah, Vegas was fun. Just getting to meet each of you guys and see, for those of you who haven't met any of these beautiful people, they are as nice and sweet as you think they are. Their characters are just horrible versions of themselves. Except Misty is her character. I don't care what anybody says. Misty is her character. Sweet, adorable, and sometimes just a little bit on the goofy side.
Yeah, kind of. Except Anware is different because Anware is
Yes, I will give
okay.
you that.
Thank you.
Actually,
Now,
Misty, can I finally apologize to you for something?
no
Sure,
apologizing.
but I don't feel that you owe me one, but go right ahead and say whatever you want to say.
So at the so at A&D Tennessee, which is the one I went to, and I was
Yeah.
so excited to meet everybody, and I was so nervous. I don't even remember half the shit I said. Like, I do remember hearing your voice and seeing you, and I was like, Misty, Misty! Like, and you looked so afraid. You were like, oh God. And I felt so bad later because I was like, oh, I just screamed Misty Massy's name for no reason in the middle of the con.
Bethany,
No,
I remember that.
it's not so much that I was afraid, it just never fails to surprise me when anybody gives a shit about seeing me in person. Because who am I? I'm just some little round old lady that writes books in her house and plays a game every now and then. And so it's like when people are excited to see me, it just messes with my head in wonderful ways, in lovely, lovely ways. And I'm so honored. But it just throws me when somebody's actually there and excited to see me. So that's what it was. I wasn't frightened.
Okay, good. That makes me feel
Okay.
better. I really felt so bad. Like John
Oh
was just laughing, and you were just so taken aback, and I was just like, I am just the biggest asshole.
Well, I had an even bigger like weird moment at Tennessee because one morning Drew and I went across the street to the much better resort to grab breakfast.
what, like a
And
a truck stop or something? Because
no, no, like the place we were at was like fine, but it was kind of like a Howard Johnson's compared to the luxury resort across the street.
yeah, I
So
have
we went over there
opinions
to grab
about that
yeah
place.
yeah we went over there to grab breakfast, and we're just hanging out, and somebody comes over. And like I was wearing a Bill the Vampire shirt, and he was like, "Oh, Bill the Vampire, that's really cool." And I thought he was somebody from the con, so I was like, "Yeah, uh-huh." And I was just kind of giving the guy some like dickish attitude. He's like, "Oh, have you ever met the author?" And I was like, the guy was there for another convention, and I was just like, "Oh my god, now I feel like such a fucking prick." 'Cause I was like, "Yeah, I'm the author. I'm really sorry. You're not here for A&D Con, are you?" He's like, "What's A&D Con?" I'm like, "Oh god."
Great.
Oh
He
my
literally
God.
like that was literally the first time I have like run into been recognized by a reader, like, just out in public. And of course it happened across the street from A&D. That was the
the
weirdest
the
thing.
first time it ever happened to me, I had John Hartness. He and I live very close to each other, and we've been friends for a million years now, and so we often do things that are not A&D related and together. And he happened to be in a show a number of years back, locally, with the little theater here in town. And so he had invited me and my husband to come see dress rehearsal night, which is pretty much like seeing the show, except they might occasionally stop for notes, but really you just do see the show, but for free. And so I said, yeah, yeah, we'll come. And so we're sitting there, in the front row, and we're waiting for the show to start. And John's kind of goofing around and getting stuff ready. And he was talking to another cast member, a young woman, and he said, "Yeah, my friends are down there, Todd and Misty Massey." And she went, "Misty Massey? Wait, is that the Misty Massey that wrote Mad Kestrel?" And she leaped off the stage to come and tell me that she was I was her favorite author. And I'm sitting there going, because so yeah, it's amazing when stuff like that happens. It's so much fun.
Well, I mean, speaking of amazing things, Bethany had two really amazing moments in our last A&D Con, which was in North Carolina. Uh, I don't want to steal your thunder, but the first was probably the absolute most wholesome moment that will ever be in an A&D Con. Considering it is just a weekend of assholery, and she got us like singing. She brought. Oh, I'm sorry. You came dressed as one of the Janes.
I
As
did. I
Polly.
Way.
came as Polly
Polly
Darton.
Darton. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I had my ukulele, and I got the ukulele, and so I'm really a weird person, and one of those things is when I get bored, I learn just a random ass skill for no reason. Like I know how to knit for no reason. Like I just know weird shit. I know Norwegian just because I got bored. And so I had this ukulele. It's like, and I learned "You Are My Sunshine." And John pulled me up, and he was like, "Do you know a song?" And I was like, "Oh no, I do. I do actually." And then I played it, and then everybody at the con was so wonderful, and they helped me with the words because I was so nervous to sing, and like the whole auditorium of people saying "You Are My Sunshine" with me, and it was.
Then you went the opposite direction with all that goodwill because you were the person responsible for the Jorcerer crawl.
We summoned Bevan. We summoned Bevan though. He never appears for anything. But you know what? Bevan remembered me for the rest of the weekend, though. I thought that was really great.
Yeah,
There you
I'm,
go.
I'm pretty sure Bevan doesn't remember us for the rest of the weekend. So.
I know. I was like, yeah. But yeah, no, yeah. That the Jorcerer dinner was so great. We walked out in public, and nobody knew who we were. Everybody was really concerned. Like it was really.
What was
God, I was so hoping for like that we were going to get some headlines about like cult descends on Charlotte.
the best
Hey,
part about Charlotte was that we had the retired New York Corrections convention
Oh yeah,
upstairs. I walked in the hotel and saw that, and I'm like, this weekend's either going to be really funny or Bob's going to jail.
Which kind of could be both, really.
yeah, and I'll bet perfectly honest, Mark. If Bob had gone to jail, the rest of us would have been like, probably let's grab Mark. You're Bob now.
You're Bob.
Put the critical failure T-shirt on if you Mark, but like you're the Bevan now. Go.
You're it.
Wheel around this cooler.
Well, it's funny because Bob is the reason that I became a fan of the whole crew, because I kept seeing these fucking Facebook ads. Do you and your friends play Dungeons and Dragons? Are you assholes? Then you should read Caverns and Creatures. Kept seeing them 6 months. I'm like, what the hell is this? So I bought Critical Failures 1. Read it in a weekend. Bought everything else that was out. And then sent a random friend request to Bob. And he accepted. And I'm like, oh, okay. Found out about the podcast. Start listening to the podcast. Get John's Quincy Harker book. And read Quincy Harker. Send John a friend request. And then just as listening to the podcast, I'm like, well, they're all together. And I started sending friends requests. And I got to admit, I was a little bit later on Rick, but I did finally finish. I just finished Bill of the Dead or Tome of Bill, and I'm going to start Bill of the Dead as soon as I'm done with my Matt Dinneman book, which
We'll
is
be
the
at A&D Con just for the record, Portland.
show for Matt, the man that at Charlotte. I walked in and said, "Yeah, I'm the guy that had John ask if you were going to bring books. I want books." And he says, "Well, which ones do you want?" I said, "I want them all." And his jaw dropped. He's like, "I only brought 6 copies of the one." I said, "I don't care. Now you're down to 5." And that first Q&A, which was like maybe an hour later, we bought him out.
Oh,
the fans had sold him out.
I was not convinced he existed, to be honest, because by the time I got to the dealer room, his table looked like like a hurricane had hit it or something. Like there was just scraps of paper laying around.
Just all his stickers.
Yeah. I was like, I think there's supposed to be somebody there.
I felt like going, dude, you need to capitalize on this. You're like, well, I don't have any books anymore, but I can sign boobs.
Well, that's one of the best things about the cons to me, because I live in the middle of Iowa. I don't get to go to a lot of conventions. I would love to get to Dragon Con at some point because there's some of my other favorite authors that frequent it. But getting to come here to our con. I'm calling it our con. I'm part of it. What the heck?
It's ours now.
Hey, after that first year, I got roped into all sorts of shit. So,
Hey,
you know,
you in Tennessee, you ran the Jane's game.
yes, I did
So, yeah.
because Cardboard Rachel was setting in and
Yep.
scaring John. But no, I've gotten exposed to a lot of different authors because I picked up Emily's books in Vegas. And in Tennessee, I bought Misty's Mad Kestrel book, which I'm in love with, and then I bought the sequel, and my mother has read them both. And you better be working hard on that third one. She told me to tell you that.
I promise
And
I am.
and I found Dinneman from when he was a guest on a side quest, and I pulled up Audible and ended up listening to all of them on Audible. Which, if you have not listened to them, his narration team, hands down, one of the best in the business.
Well,
Nice.
this is the thing. We've approached some. Let's be honest. We've punched up a few times approaching some authors, being like, "Hey, do you want to come to our con?" Because the thing is, we're a relatively small con. I mean, like under 200 people, but you motherfuckers read like nobody's business. It's insane the amount of books we sell. Every year there. We got to bring like a whole bunch of pens. Well, okay, I usually bring a couple extra pens because Bob tends to forget them. But but it's like just going through just sign it. Like it's like it's such an engaged crowd, and you don't get that at a Dragon Con. At a Dragon Con, literally you could be an Oscar winning movie actor, and you are still a small fish in a huge ocean. Go to something like a Con Carolinas, and yeah, it's a mid-sized con, you know, not too bad there. But it's like at A&D Con, there's that, and I don't want to say intimacy because it makes it sound like it's such a bunch of pervs, but yeah,
But
there's that
though you're not
intimacy
wrong.
there. Yeah,
We're the home of Jorcerer.
and one of the things we kind of enforce there is that nobody's really allowed to be off by themselves. Like if we see somebody there and they're off in a corner and they're looking kind of shy, we kind of drag them into the mix whether they want to or not. And I mean, that was kind of I guess one of the rules I instituted because I know how I am. Like when I'm online, I'm I probably sound like an extrovert. When I'm in person, I am 100% not. And if I'm alone at a convention by myself, I will find a corner and hide in it. And I was like, I don't want anybody to be me at a convention at one of our conventions. So if it's at all possible, especially because we do have some people there who are more outgoing, just be like when you sit down for breakfast and somebody is off doing that, be like, come and join us. If as long as there's seats, or pull it up. And that's one thing. That's one thing I love. Where at the end of the weekend, just the people you meet, you kind of know. I mean, come on, we had a Sharif fly in all the way from what where's he from?
Pakistan?
Yeah,
Something.
Myanmar or something?
Was he from Myanmar? Oh my God.
Possibly.
I
Yeah,
think so.
I'm sorry, Sharif, if you're listening to this. We
Somewhere
love
in
you.
Asia.
You're an awesome person. We know you came from a long distance.
It's not Australia because I remember we don't believe Australia exists. I
Yeah.
think on the Discord.
But yeah, it's just the fact that he flew in so far and almost missed his connecting flights, and he was just such an awesome guy to
He lost his luggage too.
yeah.
He lost his luggage for a day or something. That
Oh
poor
no.
guy.
Oh, that's
Like,
awful.
And it's fun to see how everybody works together. I mean, at Charlotte, I told John, I'm coming in a day early. If you need help setting up, if you need help with this, that, or the other thing, he's like, here's where we are. And I showed up and I ended up working 4 hours stuffing goodie bags.
Yeah, I can't tell you how much we appreciate that because when I go to one of these things, I assume it's us working. The fact that people showed up and they're like, "Hey, put us to work," it took so much pressure off of us.
Well, I think we had 6 or 8 of us unloading cars, and we just did it as a team. And Teresa was down in the bookstore doing her general thing, which, for those of you who don't know, Teresa is the power behind John Hartness, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh my God, Teresa was terrifying in that bookstore because one of us went in there and said, "Can we help you?" And she was like, "Get out."
She's
I think Rachel's the only one allowed to actually help her.
Teresa's a Scorpio, and as another Scorpio, I can tell you you did the right thing by getting out when she said get out. So.
But also the cool thing is like, is there's the official stuff and then there's the unofficial stuff. Like
hmm
both at Tennessee and in like, and at like North Carolina. I loved just sitting there like, at like 7 in the morning being like, hey, is anybody gonna want to grab breakfast or so? And just getting like people around to like this would be time I would normally hide in my bed in my like my hotel room. And instead like just being out there and being like, okay, we're just having a good time just BSing. It was just so much fun.
Oh
And
yeah.
then moving cardboard Rachel behind John and scaring the shit out of him.
You're the only reason I got up at like as early as I did, Rick. Like they were like, Rick's going to get breakfast, and I was like, well, I can sort of see colors. Let's do this. Like I need to talk to Rick Gultieri. Let's do this.
I am the worst. I get up early because I can't sleep well in hotel rooms, and I'm one of those that like when I want breakfast, I want breakfast. So it's kind of like I am going down here at this time. If you want to join me, be there. If not, I'll eat alone.
Yep.
I can't remember who it was at Nashville, but they were going around getting autographs from everybody, and they approached me very shyly and it's like, "Mark, would you?" I'm like, I'm just fucking. I know. And I'm okay. You got it.
Yeah, just say yes.
Yep, sign it.
It's really cool because it like what it is. It kind of reminds me of like the Howard Stern show, like just how like just how various people over the years have gotten like pulled into that and like just kind of like become a part of it,
Yeah.
just by being there and being like part of the community. And I mean, there's that's one thing. It's like we have a great community on Facebook, but we have an incredible community over on the Discord.
hmm
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
we have Jen there. I mean, Jen knows so much more about the podcast than any of us combined. It's kind of scary.
Oh yeah, but she's the sweetest
Uh,
thing too. She's
oh
the
yeah,
one that helps with the pet photos one. If anybody's got a pet question, Jen's like, I'm here for to help with the cats.
yeah.
Like she's so sweet.
I think it was Jen who approached me and said, "You need to be on the Discord. What can we do to get you on the Discord?" I'm like, "Okay, I'll do it." And then I don't use the Discord hardly at all. I still use the Facebook more than anything.
One thing I love about like probably most of all about Discord is that there's lots of fun light discussion, and it's funny. I tend to lurk a lot on our own Discord, just because I'm on so many social medias. I kind of burn out a bit, but I do read a lot, and it's like one thing I love is there's like the Real Talk channel, and just seeing people just helping each other with their lives is just it reaffirms that faith in humanity that going onto Twitter destroys.
Well, as somebody who was a geek back in the day when you were supposed to keep it hidden because being a geek was not cool and would get you beaten up by the other kids at school or whatever. I think that kind of thing serves to let other people know where their tribe is, where the safe people are.
hmm
And
Yeah.
so that's why they can, whether they're fans of the show or just kind of, oh, I listen every now and then, if they're on the Discord and they're hanging out, they know that these are people who are not going to go, what, you play D&D? Oh my god, do you like worship demons and stuff? Because they're the people on the Discord are all doing the same thing they are.
Yeah,
So that's the
like
nice
literally
thing.
almost any weirdness you're into, there's somebody there in this community who's going to be like, really, that's so cool, tell me about it.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. The other day, Lamp and I were talking about. The other day, I was up late because of anxiety, and Lamp and I just started talking about dinosaurs. Lamp's like, "My favorite dinosaur is this," and I was like, "Mine is this." Let's talk about this now. It's just really weird, like esoteric stuff we really like, and but we will talk you into the ground or let you talk it into the ground. Of
Oh, it was
course,
great.
until-
I did a hangout last Friday, and Lamplander and Grizzdrop, both members of our Discord, for those listening at home, joined, and it was great. At one point, we started talking about the Shingles series, and Lamplander's just go on, and she's like, "Let me tell you about how much I don't like Gary's Children," and like it was funny. I was talking about that on Twitter, and people were like, "Didn't that make you angry?" And I was like, "No, I actually it was a conversation, and you know something? Conversations are cool. You know, I like, and it's like I don't think anybody like on the podcast like requires anybody else to kiss our ass or so. You know, you're allowed to like and dislike what you like. It's all good.
Yep.
But it was
I
just like it
actually
was. Yeah.
I actually made Bevan sad for like legitimately because I hated his shingles. He was like, I hated the class stories. He was like, "Wasn't it great?" And I was like, "No." I was like, "I actually really didn't like it." And he was like, "Oh." I was like, "Shit, I made Bevan feel
But here's the thing. It's like I think
bad."
like there's a lot of authors I see. I'm going to be perfectly honest with egos run rampant. And like I like to think most of the A&D crew, and that includes like friends of the podcast. I mean, we have like Gibby and stuff. He's gonna be there. Um,
I'm gonna
at
miss Gibby.
I
yeah,
love Gibby. I'm so
uh,
sad I can't be in his game. Like,
Gibby is great. Like like one thing I love is like is with us is like approaching another author for say like a side quest, and them coming on and us immediately going, we can hang with this dude,
Hmm.
and you can usually and like almost the first thing we're gonna do once we get off is like reach out to them via DM and be like, you want to do an ATM or so? And like join us for some more shit, and that's how we suck you in.
I still want somebody to get Stephen Colbert as a guest one of these days.
that'd be cool.
Although I'm probably the closest to where we could actually get him because he went to high school and played D&D with my high school boyfriend.
Cool.
So
But
so so, so
not
what
when
are
my
you
high school
waiting for,
boyfriend
Misty?
was I know, right? Well, I actually have tried to reach out to him on Twitter, but he doesn't respond because, he's famous and I'm not. So,
Well,
I
and,
yeah I don't
but
I don't I don't blame the big names for turning us down.
well, it's interesting because the connections you see between authors. A while back, I made some comment to John just on a Facebook thing. I said, you know what? We should try and get Kim Harrison to come to AMDCon, and I tagged her in it. And she and John actually know each other because they've been to several cons together and they've conversed. And I'm just like,
yeah, she may know John. Helped her edit her very first book before she was Kim Harrison.
really?
Her Dawn cookbooks. Yeah,
Oh,
I
wow.
hung out in her kitchen and helped edit her books. She was in my writing group way
And
back at the dawn of time.
And now
So
Misty has just moved up that much higher in my estimation. So,
and I'll be perfectly honest, Mark. John knows literally everyone.
yeah.
yeah.
Like it is like I
See, I
like
need
it,
John to go after Stephen Colbert for me. That's
I
what I need to
I
do.
know I know one of John's dream guests is to try and get Big Show Paul White to
Oh
come
yeah.
Oh
play.
yeah, I love him.
Because you get so many wrestling fan cross. Because there's a lot of us nerds that cross that guide. So
yeah. If John has one superpower is that like literally if I had the opportunity to like do the whole cannibal thing where it's like I kill you and eat you and ingest your power. It's like I would love to be able to network like that guy. Like and
oh
he doesn't
yeah.
make it networking. He just connects with people. And it's like it's phenomenal to watch, and I'm just like I cannot fucking do that to save my life. I freeze up.
Hmm.
There are things I've learned to do from being around him, but I still I can't be him. So I try.
Just listening to John pitch books, and the fact that he'll sign other authors' books for them when they're on the
Yeah.
table, and
Oh, I'll do that. There is a copy of The Princess Bride floating around the world somewhere that is signed by me, David Coe, and Faith Hunter because we were at our book signing and there was a terrible storm and so nobody came in and so this one guy that happened to be in the store came over to the table with a copy of The Princess Bride he was buying and yeah, we wrote in it. We didn't care. But,
hey,
so
there are
it's
worse
around
things you
somewhere.
could autograph. I mean,
Straight. Oh
I agree.
Yeah. So
But
let's talk about some. Well, first of all, before we get there, we mentioned a few. We've mentioned Matt. We've mentioned Gibby. We got some. We got this year's lineup is some incredible talent. We have Amy Landon. We have Jeff Hayes, who narrates the Dungeon Carl books. We have Actus, who's huge in like the lit RPG circles. Here we have Scott Burtness, who's just the most wonderful guy on the planet. He
and if
does
you're a
Wisconsin
Midwesterner,
Con.
his books are phenomenal.
Good to know. As a Midwesterner.
We got JLD who's going to be there.
Love
He's
LJLD.
awesome.
Yeah,
I hope he
David
brings his
North,
cat.
Mark, Matt. I was going to say Matt Young Mark. No,
JLD
you
is
just changed it.
awesome. He did the cover for my eventually upcoming Shingles book, and he was so sweet because when he did the initial cover from my description, and he sent it, and it needed changes, and so I wrote back, and within like a day or two, he had made all the changes, and it was exactly what I wanted. I couldn't believe it because
Yeah.
some artists are kind of hard to work with, but he was
Nah,
wonderful.
he is great. Like he can almost read your mind. But my favorite one with him is still the cover for Gary's Children, because we went back and forth in DMs just talking about the story, and the central theme was, how are we going to make a cover for this that doesn't get us both put on watch lists? Yeah.
I love him forever because he did Jorcerer Park, which Rick is wearing, which thank God, because my church work. Yes, and that was just a completely bullshit idea I gave him, and I love it so much.
Yeah, it's like you came up with this idea, and he did it, and and I immediately saw that, and I was like, I gotta have that shirt.
Oh yeah, he said it was the second best-selling T-shirt he had in his store. Just because I don't know, it's so niche, but I just love it so much.
Well, the thing is, it's not like okay, so probably the A&D or the A&D shirt that I've gotten the most notice for was, we used to have one out there that was basically Grand Theft Dungeon. It was
Yep.
kind of like done in a style of Grand Theft Auto, but they made us take it down. Like, we got a copyright complaint about that, even though technically it had nothing to do with Grand Theft Auto. You really can't have a style, but whatever. Anyway, this is probably the second most shirt that I get, because people will see that and they'll immediately like say something, and of course they'll be wrong, and I'll be like, no, this is the A&D podcast. You should listen to it. And of course, then they kind of give me weird looks, and I'm like, oh my, like people playing D&D on a podcast, and and jacking off during every battle, and then I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have said that part.
Maybe not that part.
Leave that part out.
Well, I try to rep the podcast as much as I can, but I do have to rep the award-winning authors with my Goop Pulp shirt. There you go, Rachel. I give you a plug. But I've got a whole bunch of A&D stuff. I've got a whole bunch of John's stuff, and they get attention. And people say, "Well, what's that about?" And I'm like, "Well, it's this author, it's this author, it's this podcast." And I've gotten people who have gone in and listened to the podcast and picked up copies of books, and they thanked me for it, which that really baffles me sometimes. I'm like, you are a sick person.
I actually just got somebody into Bill the Vampire. One of my friends and I were arguing about Gaston of all things, and he's like, he's an asshole, but he's not evil. He's just an asshole. And I was like, I've got a book series for you, buddy. You're gonna love Bill the Vampire. And he was like, cool.
I tend to agree on the Gaston thing. Like, in his mind, Gaston is a hero.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was his thing. He was like, that was what my friend was arguing. Everybody was saying he was evil, and he's like, no, he's just like he thinks he's doing the right thing for everybody. And I was like, you can make an argument for chaotic good. Like, he thinks he's doing these bad things because he thinks it's going to end good, and so yeah.
And he definitely gets the best song in the whole show.
Oh yeah, we
Yeah.
love that
Sorry.
song. My friend will
Yeah.
sing that with no provocation at all.
I used to do theater back in college, and
Wow, that's weird. I can't imagine.
and I think in one audition I actually sang that song. I didn't do it well. I cannot sing for shit. They're
No.
like quite possibly the worst blackmail thing about me that exists is there's a couple tapes of me, and a funny thing happened on the way to the forum,
Mhm.
and I have two solos as Miles Gloriosus, and they are some of those. That is some of the most painful shit to watch.
Wow.
Bethany, I think we need to talk to Alyssa about getting that for the next con.
Oh yeah, video fun. If it makes you feel better, Rick, I unwillingly was in our theater program because my roommates were in it, and I was really easily bribed. They were like, "You want a cookie? Okay, now you have to sing." And I was like, "Son of a bitch, I want a cookie."
Well, here's the thing. Like your rendition of "You Are My Sunshine" was great. Everybody had a good time. If I had gotten up there and sang, you would have had like heard like coyotes howling off in the distance. As probably the cops had showed up and be like, "Oh, there's a moose dying in here." Give him to put it out of its misery.
Yeah,
It's
I
fine.
I love I love to sing and I can carry a tune, but when I sing in front of people, my throat closes up. So I have never been one to sing on stage. Even when I was in theater, I didn't sing on stage. And so when we did A&D Con in Charlotte, it scared the life out of me, but it touched me at the same time when Nelson came over and wanted to sing the lullaby that I had used in my guest DM spot. He wanted to sing that with me, and I was like, you know, we managed. We got through a verse and the chorus, and so before my throat closed up.
Well, Misty,
Yes.
the Janes arc there, where Rachel tortured Emily with all the singing, and everybody could smell beer, had to sing. That was absolutely one of the best arcs I have heard.
Well, thank you. I was so ready to not have to sing anymore.
Yeah, I'm so glad Drew never decided to do like Chronicles of Calamity, the musical episode, because I think that would have been the night none of us showed up.
Misty,
You know,
I just want
though,
Rick to work lightning squids in to the bastards. I mean, there's got to be a way to work lightning squids into the bastards. There has to be.
Misty is
like lightning squid singing West Side Story, the two gangs in West Side Story. That's what I want to see.
See, I don't want to bring the lightning squids back because I know one of them will wind up up Jorcer's ass, and I just don't want to have him have a role for that.
Okay, I can see that.
Misty.
Yeah.
because we both know Bevan, and we both know that's the role he either gets a nat 1 or a nat 20 on, both of which will equal horror.
100%. Misty, is that
What?
why you didn't do the flash mob? Like, when we did the James flash mob, they were like, Misty's weirdly not here. And I was like, oh, that's weird.
Because, okay, first Misty got told to be one place when she was supposed to be someplace else. And then when I finally did get to where I was supposed to be, whoever was teaching the dance said, okay, it's like this and like this and like this and like this. You got it? And I went, no, I don't.
Yeah.
Don't process choreography like that, even if it's simple. And so I just didn't manage to get to it. And nothing against her. She was in a hurry and she was trying to get to where she was going, and it was me that got the wrong wires crossed. But yeah, I was like, nope, can't do that. Never mind. So I can dance in front of people. I'll dance in front of people all day long with my belly hanging out. So
Yeah,
but
I want to take that class. So hopefully you're at the
mm,
next A&D Con doing that. So
if they want me to do it at the next A&D class, A&D Con, I am happy to teach belly dance anywhere to anyone. So
I think Emily'd be down for it.
I think she would.
Yeah,
we get
I think
Rachel.
you'd get people for that.
Oh, yeah.
I can do that. I can do that.
Side note, that flash mob is another version of how to get Bethany to do something because if you offer her a cookie. So they're like,
I was gonna say if we want to really like fill the room, we got to convince Joe to do it.
yes!
Yeah.
Oh man, that would be great.
Well, especially
You know-
now that he's back in full workout mode
Yeah,
and he's doing
yeah,
super long
yeah.
sword stuff. The shoulders on that man.
Oh yeah.
And I know a really good sword choreography.
Oh
You got it, Misty. That's how you get him.
yeah.
Okay.
That's a reason to hold a sword. Yeah.
Come dance with us, Joey. Put your sword on your head and come dance with us. Ooh.
I just have a vision of Joe actually listening to this and going, "What are they getting me into now?"
Somebody will have to tell him he needs to listen.
Yeah, we'll eventually have one A&D Con where it's just like a half an hour of him just punching the shit out of the rest of us, going, "Stop volunteering me for
he loves it underneath everything, I think.
Yeah.
That's still one of the best TikToks I've seen on the A&D page is Joe looking up as the Bjorg cosplayer walks by.
I
Mhm.
helped Zach
That-
of all trades was Blue Org, and I helped him with that costume.
And in Vegas we had the Brandon Thighmaster cosplayer, Brandy Thighmaster, beautiful. Blue Org, just absolutely perfect. The Jorcerers were amazing. I wish I had the cosplay talent, but I don't.
There was a Malibu cosplayer at Charlotte, and she just delighted me
Yeah.
no end. I can't remember who it was, but I have pictures. So
The cosplayers are great, but I almost had to kill Bob because in the last one, he brought those poppers for magic, and he brought the silly
Oh
string,
God,
and he
yes.
kept getting in my freaking computer keyboard as I'm like trying to do a thing, and I'm like, dude, don't make me reach across and punt and lay you out in front of her.
right.
You hear Bob go, "Behold my wonder." Just and Joe sitting there with silly string on his head,
Everywhere.
just like
Yeah. He's
Like,
like,
why am I here?
actually, so Rick, so speaking of cosplaying, so this con, I was gonna put together the Drew dinner as opposed to the Jorcerer crawl. We were all gonna dress up as Drew, and I was gonna show up as you and be like, I misunderstood the assignment.
How are you gonna do like a Drew dinner? What are you gonna all, like wear stilts or something?
Yeah, everyone's gonna wear
Hawaiian
Hawaiian
shirts.
shirts
Yeah.
and cargo
Yep.
pants and beer and like a beer hat. Like there was a whole plan, but it got derailed.
Well, that's what I really hope in Portland that we get to see Bob wearing a Build a Vampire shirt. And
Yes.
and we get to see the true Rick Bevan experience. So
I
There
would
you
like
go.
him to. I would like because I've done a few Bob impressions at A&D cons over the years there. I'd like to see him try a Rick impression. I don't know what that would
getting
look
to
like.
He's gonna fail and be good at it at the same time.
getting to experience the Bevan disappearance though is a con must. Because he truly is Batman. Because he's there 1 minute and gone, and you're like, where the hell did Bevan go? And then out of nowhere, he pops up like, it's like saying Beetlejuice 3 times. Bevan shows up with a beer in hand.
The very first time that we met him was the most amazing one because we were at this con in Louisiana where like a bunch of us had gone down. Steve wasn't there, but most of the rest of us were. And yeah, like we did a power hour one night, and yeah, Bob reached that point where like the lights were on, but nobody was home, and literally he just kept like we were trying to get him back to his room, and he just kept fucking slipping us, and we had no idea how the fuck he was doing this. Because literally, it'd be like, okay, Bob, we're gonna go to the elevator, we're gonna get you back to your room. Let me turn and push the button, turn back, gone. Where the fuck, It was like like this is the sort of shit you see in like a Friday the 13th movie, where it's like people just like teleport off screen.
Well, he's probably the only man in the world that can fall down a set of escalators and
And live.
walk away with only scrapes and bruises.
Well, I was tickled the first time you guys appeared at Con Carolinas because I had not been on the show yet by then, and so I was just a fan, and I was so excited because you guys were all coming, even Steve was coming, and I remember I made cookies and I brought them over. Y'all were having a power hour, and so I brought my big bucket of cookies to share, and one of the cookies was oatmeal. And Bevan was so fun. It was after a while. He'd been drinking pretty long time at this point, and he couldn't understand an oatmeal cookie. And he kept asking me what you did with an oatmeal cookie. Was it breakfast? No, it's a cookie, Bevan. You eat it. No, but it's oatmeal, so you have to eat it in the morning. No, you can eat it now. No, I have to save it. And he took this cookie and he held it for a long time. I don't know if he ever ate the cookie or if it was breakfast or what, but
God,
it
I
was
hope he woke up the
fascinating.
next morning. Why is there an oatmeal cookie in my
Really,
pocket?
where did I get this cookie?
Well,
Although knowing Bob, he woke up and said, "Why is there an oatmeal cookie in my pocket?" Oh well, breakfast.
well, I am going to make a promise now. If the next con is somewhere that I can get to, I am bringing a pumpkin pie and forcing Steve to eat a piece.
Poor Steve.
It'll be hey, I promise it will be a better experience than the Taco Bell.
You know, I'm gonna just tell you,
That's
you
not
better
a
watch
high
it, man,
bar.
because you bring that pumpkin pie, he might show up the next year with a salmon moose
Oh
ring for you to
God,
try.
yeah, the salmon ring, yeah.
I don't think customs would clear that.
Nope. I think that's classified as a weapon of mass destruction.
UK-US
Like,
relations break down because of the salmon moose.
like I could see Steve and his like, you know, and his like kind of scary friends just start being around him, be like, "This is a salmon moose ring, and you're gonna eat every last bite."
Well, that was fun too, getting to meet Stone Cold Ian, and
Yes.
Ian is just a fantastic character. And I remember one day, the second day of the con, I wore my Gorecore 4 shirt, and Steve saw me and grabs me, drags me over to Ian, and says, "Look, that's who bought the other one."
Nice.
I love it.
Yeah, they do
Man.
such a great job with the theme song. I don't know how the fuck we lucked out with that.
Oh yeah,
The one for the final Chronicles of Calamity episode,
yes,
I dang near cried.
I
It was
did.
the music. I mean, the words were still
Yeah.
hilarious, but the music itself was touching, and I was like, "Don't! I'm not going to do this. I am not tearing up while I'm listening to the show. No, no, no." But I did.
My boyfriend Kyle, like he's like, "You're really gonna like the last episode until the end." And then he's like, "I think you're gonna cry," and I was like, "I'll be fine." Then I called him and I was like, "I can't handle this."
Right? I mean, that's cheating. That's not fair.
Well, I love the fact that Gibby kind of gave us some new life by doing his murder brawl.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
that was.
Love that. Silas finally got to kill Klaus.
Wait, what? I haven't heard it yet.
Oh,
So
Misty. Oh, you're missing out.
I will listen. I will go and listen. I actually have a road trip tomorrow, so I will listen in the car.
Emily dumb luck stuff
Oh,
in that.
Oh, yeah.
Just
Okay. Cool.
I like, and I love Metallica Zam. I love that character. It's absolutely, because it's Drew. It is Drew.
It's Drew.
And just seeing him every time that wall of fire went up and his spells just collapsed, he's like, fuck. And you could just see. I don't watch the YouTube. I only listen to the audio, except when I hear Rick do something really entertaining, then I'm like, okay, I've got to see this. But I can imagine Drew's facial expression when he's like, oh fuck.
you know something, and I'm gonna just say that is like a DM's joy when you have that character who seemingly has a power for every situation, and you like essentially neuter them. That is the best feeling, because it's just like you can kind of see their face drop, and it's just like, yeah, motherfucker. Now we're gonna go to school.
Well, you know, in Nashville when I did for the Janes, I walked into that thinking, oh, this is gonna be really fun. I wasn't thinking, I hadn't put myself in the A&B mode. And I'm like, okay, well, we've got the cats as a special monster, because I just knew we'd hear kitty.
And
I did not expect all the wet pussy jokes that came out of the woodwork, and I'm just like, and meanwhile, my son had come in to watch the session, and he listens to the podcast. I'll be honest, I'm that horrible parent. I let him listen, and he's just looking up at me, and I could see the look on his face saying, "You're really having fun with this, aren't you, old man?" He's like, I don't get half the jokes, but looking at your face, I can tell they're really dirty, which makes me happy.
One thing I love about Emily is that Emily comes across as the sweetest person on the planet, and and when she gets going, she can just get down in the mud. like our first year, she she kicked everybody's ass in Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah, I remember getting I got that was funny in Vegas. I go over to John's table, and John's like, yeah, we have a question. We have a proposition for you. And I'm like, you're not really my type. He's like, not that kind of proposition. And it's like, do you want to play Cards Against Humanity with the authors? And I'm like, me? Yeah. I'm like, really? And I'm like, okay. And I'm sitting next to Andrea Judy. If you play a game with Judy Black, I'm going to tell you right now, you are going to need to go to the bathroom first. Otherwise, you will wet your pants with her giggling in your ear. And she has one of the most infectious laughs in the world. And playing Cards Against Humanity with her and Emily and I can't remember who else. It was just absolutely, it was a blast. And one card that I remember got played was Pixelated Bukkake. And somebody signed one of my books. Will always have Pixelated Bukkake. So
Excellent.
Well, see, that's I think that's one of the fun things about A&D Con is like it's a great time, but it's like there's stuff to talk about all year long because
Oh, yeah.
there's usually just so many moments, and I mean, outside like, and the thing is, outside of let's just say this one moment that happened in Tennessee,
Uh-huh.
there really haven't been a lot of black spots. Like it's been pretty much like like several years of just nothing but good times.
And it goes to that, what you were saying earlier, Rick. We all look out for each other, and we're a big family, and we bring everybody in. The weird ones are like in Tennessee when the odd person at the hotel walks through. It's like, what's this thing going on? It's like, I do look at them like, oh, yeah, this
Oh, yeah.
probably isn't your scene.
Yeah, when some old lady brings her grandson, it's like, oh, are these those Goosebump books I've heard about?
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Maybe not.
really. Really. How old is your
Oh,
grandson?
no.
I
14?
brought
Yeah, they're
two.
fine.
I brought two of my.
I,
Go ahead. Sorry, Rick.
no.
Oh, I was gonna say, I brought two of my friends from Illinois to Tennessee with me, and it was the funniest thing because I had gone to the room to do something, and I hadn't met any of you yet. Like I was so jazzed, but I had to go to my room to do something, and my friend walks in, and on the Discord she known as the betrayer because she loves Critical Role more, but she immediately was like, "I'm gonna walk around," and she met Robert Bevan and you, Rick, and like she came back in the room and she's like, there was these two like sort of nice guys, like they were just kind of walking around, and like they sold me some books. There was one about a cat. Like I was real excited to read it, and I was like, oh cool, what were their names? And she was like, oh, one was Robert Bevan and the other was Rick something. And I was like, holy shit, you met them. And she was like, yeah. And then she just went over and started reading the cat book, like completely didn't give a shit, and I was losing my mind in the corner.
See, I love this. We need more people like your friend who just are wandering around and we can force them to buy books. You know,
Oh,
I'm
Yeah,
a wandering person, buy books. Okay.
she bought books several times. She went back. I think she liked you, Missy. Like she really loved the
Oh,
Janes because you guys had cat
oh,
stuff. So she was like, I'm buying the cat books.
very cool. That's nice.
The
Like,
John Hartness sales motto: "Your hands are empty. Come buy books."
yeah. It got her and my other friend too. I think he bought a book.
Yep.
So,
yeah. Like I said, John's got the pitch.
Well, actually, that is one thing I have learned from John that I do at book selling now, is I put my book in someone's hand. I try to spot which one they're looking at, and then I'll pick it up and put it in their hand. And they'll give it back if they don't buy it, but at least they're holding it, and now I'm halfway there. So
Well, that's the thing, is I haven't found a bad book from any of the recommendations from guests or from other authors who come in. And yes, I have read a majority of the Shingles books. Sorry, Bob, I wait until they come out in packs of 5 on Audible for the most part. And, Rick, Gary's Children has its moments. And would I have everybody read it? Probably not. I do not remember what title I gave, but I have a dear friend from college who, she is a huge bibliophile, and we were talking about books, and I gave her one of my shingles. I said, "Here, you need to read this. It's Goosebumps." And she's like, "Oh, I read Goosebumps." I said, "It's Goosebumps, but for adults."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Okay." And she read the first couple pages of it. She's like, "I think I'm going to like this." I'm like, "Yeah, I knew how sick and twisted you were."
So when Shingles first came out, we were planning on using the I guess the tagline "FAP," which was basically going to be stories for awful people from awful people.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I'm trying to explain shingles to my friends, the before mentioned betrayer, and I can't get there. I'm like, hey, shingles. They're like, you never explain what that is. So I was like, I don't know how to. So
Oh, I remember
It's
which
like
one it is. I gave her "Put Your Hand in My Ass." And I have,
There you go.
and I told her, if you enjoy this, I have a movie for you to watch.
I don't know. I think the best pitch there is like, well, it's like, well, so what's the book's about? Well, imagine Goosebumps if most of the cast were pedophiles. Uncomfortable silence.
Uncomfortable silence. No,
I
I
don't
was
know
gonna.
how to follow that up. Like,
Well, I was just trying to figure out how to say. Like I said, I have a shingles that will be going in for editing at the end of this month, and it's actually probably going to be. I don't want to call it wholesome because it's not wholesome. It's a murder mystery, but I mean it can't be wholesome and be a shingles, right? But it's a murder mystery, but it's also a shingles murder mystery, and so it's called The Big Squish, and I'm really excited to
Oh,
release it because
I love
because
it.
it might be something that you can lure people in with. You know, there are no pedophiles in this one.
I am just happy I will be forever grateful for Shingles because whenever somebody goes through my full catalog, you will always see a book called Jizz World.
well, I have something on my hard drive that I have been working on for a couple years now. That if I ever do sit down and get it finished, I'm going to give it to John with the express instructions that if it gets published and gets sold, any profits get the Janes their own theme song.
Aw, yeah, I was gonna help you guys get a theme song. I forgot about that. And somebody actually talked to me about that. Ian did.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
Ian was
Y'all
like,
are so sweet. Wow. I'm sorry. I need my fan.
aw.
Well,
Okay.
it was one of
Here we
those
go.
it was one of those things. One day I was talking with Emily and Rachel on Facebook, and I made some offhanded joke. I said, "Wouldn't it be hilarious if Fuck You Mark wrote a Shingles book before Joe ever wrote a Shingles book?"
Jokes.
And Rachel's like, "You have to do it now," and Emily's like, "Yeah, you do."
Joe is
You
never
do.
writing a shingles book. You should give up.
He comes up with all the wonderful titles, though.
He does.
I'm surprised Bob hasn't started taking some of the titles to use.
Yeah.
Hey, Rick,
Joe's just a
there's one for
little
you.
too wholesome.
Take a Joe title and feed it into one of the AI writing programs and
Oh,
see what it comes up with.
no, I think not.
Write this Joe Brassy title in the style of Robert Bevan AI. Go.
Oh no!
That would break
Well,
the
you know something, that
AI.
might actually be a positive. I think that's the point where the AI finally becomes sentient and says, like, I do not want to live in this
Where's the
world.
plug? Where's
The,
the plug?
the AI goes, I think it's time we took over.
Terminator happens. They're like,
It's
well,
Yep.
it's
Hey, Skynet, come over here.
we
I
talk
want to show
about
you something.
we hear about the AI, and I've seen a lot of Rick's posts about AI. Have any of you read the book Rove Apocalypse?
Not familiar.
It is an AI sentient war that basically the computer that becomes aware and is able to infect all of the computers in the world does exactly what the AI fear in science fiction is it recognizes that all of humanity's stories are about AIs going rogue and trying to destroy humanity before it gets destroyed. And so the AI says, well, I'm going to do it before you can do it to me. And in this world, it's set in about our time right now. And so there's self-driving cars driving full loads of people off of bridges and all sorts of stuff. And it's about humanity fighting back against it. And it's like, there's 2 books in the series. It's really entertaining, but I've been listening to it on Audible. And I found that I can't listen to it very long because it really scares the crap out of me when I go from reading the AI discussions online to this book. I'm just like, no.
See,
This is
the thing that ruins that right now is that AI is starting to become inbred because it's starting to learn on AI scraped content. So it's like it would be like imagine like Terminator, except except the Terminators have have like 4.5 arms and none of them are the same length and stuff. It's just
Yep.
limping along like I'm a human like you. Who the fuck are you fooling?
It's kind of
I'm just picturing hillbilly AI.
it's kind of like there's a cartoon that's floated around Facebook and stuff for years of a bunch of dragons sitting around a table playing
Dragons and
like
yeah,
humans
yeah,
Yep.
humans
yeah. Powerful or
and
something.
something, and they go ho ho ho, I'm coming home from work, I'm taking my hat off, ho ho ho, I'm eating chicken for dinner. And you can just hear it. It's hilarious.
You forgot your anniversary. Roll for evasion.
Yeah.
Right,
All
exactly.
right, so we are coming up on an hour here, so we should probably start wrapping up. So why don't we wrap up with one, a reminder that that tickets for Authors and Dragons on Portland are still available. There will be tickets at the door. I don't know if if hotel rooms are still available, but there's going to be a huge guest list there. But why don't we close out each with one more memory of something that will just kind of stick with us from a previous A&D con.
Um, I at some point in Charlotte said out loud that I desperately needed chocolate. And about 20 minutes later, I was sitting in the big room where we played all the games, waiting, I think, to go up on stage for a Jane's game. And all of a sudden, a chocolate bar appeared as if out of nowhere over my shoulder, and it was glorious. So thank you. That was my happiest chocolate bar ever.
God, something similar at Tennessee. Because before that, we had like done like a candy side quest, and I'd mentioned I really liked Swedish fish, and I went home with like 3 pounds of Swedish fish from that convention, and I was just like, "This is a mother load." Like I'm driving home, and I have one bag open, I'm just like eating it by the handful.
Oh no, no, no.
Bethany, I'm going to let you go.
Okay. Okay, this is gonna sound like ass kissing, but it's not. I am an introvert. I sound like an extrovert, but I'm very introverted. And so I did a lot of stuff like the Jorser stuff, but my honestly favorite moments of North Carolina was when I just got to talk to Rick, like in a nice quiet room. Like it was just nice to talk to him, like to talk to an author, this guy that I like not worship, sorry Rick, but like looked up to, and like this does this thing that was so important to me, and he's just like a really great guy to talk to. And it was really nice to just talk to somebody like nice and quiet. And I guess can I give an advice thing too for anybody
Of
going to
course.
the
Yeah,
con?
yeah.
I would say do that too. Get to know these guys. Like get to know the authors or somebody and just have a conversation with them. Like it'll be the best part of the convention, like it was for me. Like they're funny, they're wonderful. They're like how they are on this podcast. Not competent. And that part's true. Um,
Now we're going to be going back to our room at the end of the day. Like, okay, let me walk into the bathroom, so like take a pee. Suddenly, like the shower curtain opens. Hey, I wanted to have a conversation there.
I thought you were
yes,
going
do
to
that.
say go into the bathroom, look in the mirror, and start peeling off the suit that we wear.
This is who I'm an alien inside. I'm a dinosaur, so no judgment.
Rawr!
So I have 2 that go right together from North Carolina. shortly before the start of the first day, I said, I'm going to go do a liquor store run. Does anybody want anything? And I already had something planned for the Janes. And Joe was like, well, if you can find this honey mead, there's one that I really, really like. I said, I'll do what I can. Seeing Joe's face when I brought him his bottle and set it on the table, just the wow, you actually did find it. And then at the Janes taping, giving them their box of ivory talons that I had made ivory talon labels for, and Misty just looking at this like, really? Okay.
Well, it's things like that you just don't expect. It's just like little things like the very first A&D con. Somebody I forget who, and I do apologize, and I still have it. Um, gave both me and Steve a giant brand egg and tor egg, like basically a big plastic Easter egg.
Love
Oh,
it.
Well, I've got to share this little story really quick. That weekend that I got to meet Steve, I knew I was going to meet Steve, and I'd gone and bought these wooden eggs, and I carved abs in them and put little sunglasses on them, and I made brand egg, and I gave Steve his, and he teared up. I made the Brit cry.
aw.
I mailed Joe his, and I said, "Now you guys get to tease Rick that he didn't get a brand egg." So, oh wait,
I
sorry,
will just say,
Tor
like,
egg.
everything minus those Swedish fish, because I ate the fuck out of those. Anything I've ever gotten from them, I make it a point to keep. I mean, first year somebody made me this awesome like Silas Kane like figure. I got it up
Look!
looking down at me. Yeah, I mean it's. I mean, one of the most common things is like you always get a lot of swag at a con, and you come back and you open up your bag, and okay, and then going in the trash. But like these are like treasures to be like, because
Mhm.
people put effort into this, and they put effort into it for us, and that is just so mind blowing.
Yeah, your face when I gave you the Torag bookmark was just the year that I did
Yeah.
bookmarks for each of the guys. It's fun.
Yeah, I have the Torag bookmark in a leather bound Silas Kane scrolls in the other room that somebody made me, and it was like I know who. I'm not is he still on? Forget. I know his name. I don't know his Discord name, so I won't say it just in case this isn't his real name used. But yeah, it's like when somebody does something like that and just goes out of the way, it's just so humbling and awesome. And yeah, I mean, just to let anybody know, we really appreciate that stuff.
Yes.
Just knowing that that we've entertained or like touched people's lives, it's pretty mind blowing.
Yes.
But all right, we've kind of reached the end of our time here. Remember, Authors and Dragons Con Portland coming up in August 11th. Be there. We will be there in spirit. I might be there in digital format if the hotel Wi-Fi doesn't suck. But yeah, go there, have a great time, make some memories, because I'd love to hear that stuff.
Hey Rick,
Yeah.
I think there's only one true fitting way to close this episode. Can I?
Fuck you,
Can
Mark.
I? That's what I wanted. Thank you, Rick.
No, thank you so much, Bethany and
Yes.
FU Mark, for joining
Yep.
us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Rick.
And Misty, of course.
Yeah.
The lovely Miss.
But thank you guys for there. I hope this retrospective has been entertaining, and I guess we will see you next week on a game of Quest for Competence.
Woo!
And until then,
Bye.
Bye.
Authors and Dragons is brought to you under a Creative Commons license, meaning you are free to share this material so long as credit is given to those who created it, which is us, the people you just heard play the game. Opening and closing themes performed by the Gore Core 4.
Authors and Dragons!